Okay, so I think most of us have seen by now the horrific video of the journalist Ahmed Mansour burning to death, um, and later died 24 hours later of his injuries. I mean, the last few days, the scenes from Gaza are... I mean, I keep saying, so they're some of the worst that I've seen. But it just keeps on getting so bad. It just keeps on getting so bad. And every time I think this will make people rise up. And I keep being shown time and time again just how useless we all are. I really, really thought that if people could see openly how evil the people in power are, that they would all rise up and we would collectively organise and overthrow the deep state and overthrow the shadow governments that are controlling pretty much every government at this point and every alphabet agency and every institution. That's why no one's been able to stop this, because every institution is infiltrated. And I completely overestimated humanity. Like, it's so dystopian to me how many people just don't give a fuck. Just don't give a fuck. Just carrying on like a normal day. And I mean, for me, I'm glad that the scenes have broke through my desensitization, because for the last few weeks, maybe even months, I've been experiencing a state of numbness and desensitization to what's happening there. And I've seen a lot of people in the comment section speaking to this. And I've spoken, I spoke about it before, when I was in Mexico. I did a couple of videos talking about the numbness and the desensitization that we can experience when we see so many scenes of these, what are essentially snuff films, from the ground in Gaza. And I think it's important not to judge ourselves too much when we experience that, because sometimes I would worry that I'm like, am I losing my humanity, that I can just look at that and just scroll past it? But it's your body's way of protecting itself, because you're essentially in survival mode. Most of us on this planet are actually, not everyone obviously, but a lot of us, because of everything that they are doing to us and squeezing us, are in survival mode. So it's basically a protective mechanism so that you can focus on what needs to be done. And then when you have the capacity, the emotional capacity to process what you've just witnessed, your body will allow you to feel it. But for so many people, because we're in a state of survival, we're not being given the opportunity to actually process it. So if you are feeling it, and for me, I felt it all for I would go through periods of numbness for maybe a few days, and then something would snap me out of it. But if you are going through a longer period of desensitization, don't judge yourself too much. It's because your brain and your body is trying to get you to focus on what needs to be done. And whether that's just making sure that you are rested and focused and resourced for this struggle, okay, because it is going to take all of us, and it's a long game, or whether it's just because you don't have the space to process, and those are essentially both the same things. To know that it will come back, okay, because it's just come back for me after seeing the scenes from the last few days, and I am again filled with a sacred rage, a sacred fury at anyone and everyone that's been enabling this Holocaust, okay? Now, obviously, when I talk about the numbness and the desensitization and not judging yourself, I'm talking to the people that are engaged and who are bringing Palestine and the collective liberation struggle, because it's not just about Palestine, right? Okay, because the Zionists control a lot of stuff. They control the banking system for one. So they've kind of enslaved everybody through their system of fractional reserve banking and usury. People who are bringing the Palestine struggle into everything that they're doing, and who are actively working to help, and who've spoken up, and who are doing BDS, boycott, divestment, sanctions, and who are also looking for other ways to help, who've donated and shared posts and all the things, okay? If you're a citizen of the United States or the UK or Canada or Germany or any of the countries that are complicit in this genocide, directly complicit by arming Israel and sending aid to Israel, by paying taxes to that government, you are complicit in the genocide. Okay, so if you're not actively working to help to end the genocide, you're complicit. You're completely complicit in the genocide. This is not just according to universal law, i.e. spiritual law, i.e. God's law, like just basic morality. It's according to international law. Like, sanctions against the US are coming. Like they will, the US, the UK, all these countries are going to be held accountable. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, maybe not next year even, but they will be held accountable. And I am here for it. Like, I want everyone who has not done anything to help out and who has paid taxes to a government that is committing a genocide to be held accountable, okay? Because that's what international law says about the crime of genocide. It's everybody's responsibility to act to prevent it, okay? This is really simple stuff, guys. We learned this in school. If you're not doing that, fuck you. Like, you are not my people. I don't trust you. I don't want to be around you. I don't want a bar of you. If you can look at people burning to death, children being beheaded, their bodies being minced like a shredder, and not feel anything and not want to do anything to help out, you are a dark portal. You're a soulless human. You have no connection to God, no connection to Prime Creator, and you are hosting demonic entities, okay? And I don't want you anywhere near me, okay? So now that we've got that out of the way, for those of you that are starting to feel stuff, allow yourself to process those emotions, okay? Me and Dom are going to be sharing lots of tools and resources to help you process those emotions, because feeling that stuff is going to be really, really important for us to continue with this collective organizational work, okay? Secondly, there are things, action steps that need to be taken, okay? I'm going to be sharing in a separate reel things that we can be doing, okay? Other than posting on social media, other than going to protests, other than BDS, like other than the standard things. If you've already been doing those things, there are more ways to get involved. We do need to be stepping it up, okay? Obviously, pace yourselves, make sure you're well resourced, but there's more that can be done, okay? Watch out for my reels that I'm going to be posting over the next few days for action steps that we can take to continue to try and bring this to an end, okay? Because it's not going to be the ICJ or the ICC or any other control systems that end this, okay? It's going to be us collectively organizing and putting massive pressure on others who are supposed to be doing certain jobs, okay? Let's talk about elected representatives, these bodies and things like that. They need to be held accountable. Pressure needs to be put on them. And if they don't do what they're supposed to be doing, then they need to be removed, okay? So, like I said, this is a marathon, not a race. It's not going to happen overnight. It looks like, obviously, everything's getting worse and we're not being effective. But there's a lot of things that are shifting, okay? Obviously, people are still being killed. Babies are still being killed. And it's horrific. But slowly, there are things happening. And I do think that we are going to be able to see, definitely in our lifetimes and probably quite soon, an end to the Zionist settler colony. Every empire on this earth has fallen, okay? The empires that are built on fascism and colonization and greed and racism and ethnic cleansing and genocide, they don't last forever, okay? Because the foundation on which they're built is not supportive, okay? It's not a strong foundation, so it does eventually crumble. Maybe it takes longer than an average person's lifetime to crumble, so it seems like nothing is changing, but you gotta zoom out and see the bigger perspective, okay? We are eternal beings. We're not just here for this human lifetime, okay? And what we do here matters, okay? We will actually live forever, okay? Death is not the end. Okay, those of you who have a spiritual perspective or a religious perspective, you know that death is just moving into another way of being or another type of existence, okay? So what we do in this physical reality, which is basically the ninth circle of hell, it's the bad place. What we do here really, really matters, okay? So even though it is really painful and really difficult being in this realm, ultimately, to get to the good place, you have to pass the moral test, and that's what we're here for, okay? So keep going, don't stop, feel it all, and yeah, watch out for my future reels where I'm going to be sharing some action steps. And also the podcast with Dom, I am editing it. It's taking a really long time. We will jump on here when it's ready. It's really, really powerful. Like he dropped some amazing codes that I want you guys to hear as well, which is also going to be kind of relevant for this as well.